many times these local places will make you aware of or dig up things that you won't find out about any other way. And that's what I think the value is of local historical and genealogical societies.
We are here today with Jonathan Stayayer, who is going to teach us about South Central Pennsylvania Genealogical Society. As most people know, I am a huge fan of genealogical societies. I think they are an untapped resource in Pennsylvania, as well as our historical societies. And Jonathan's going to really give us the 411, the big info on what's going on with South Central. And Jonathan, welcome to the podcast. I'm thrilled that you're here.
Thank you, Denise.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to be the president of South Central Pennsylvania Genealogical Society.
Well, I have been researching my family history for about 40 years. And when I first started in 1979, I was working as a student work-study employee at the Historical Society of York County, which is now the York County Heritage Trust. I had really little interest in genealogy at that time, but most people who were coming in to do research were doing their family history. So I was helping them do their research, and I became interested in genealogy. And many of the volunteers then and now for the History Center are members of the Genealogical Society. And so they said, well, you really should become part of this society. And I've been a member of the South Central Society for, well, probably since 79 or 80. I really was not as actively involved when I was working full-time. Once I retired, they tapped me to become president, and I felt like I should do something more than what I was doing because of all the benefits that I had received over the years from the society. And so I see this as a way of giving back to the genealogical community by being president.
And tell us a little bit about those programs. I've attended a couple of those over COVID because you were doing them virtually, and they were excellent. I did one was with the coroner of York County, talking about her role in the coroner's records. That was really interesting. And another one was one of the updates from the Pennsylvania State Archive as construction was ongoing during from 2021 through 2023. So one of those updates with the state archivist, which was also an excellent program. If people want to dig through the YouTube archives or the state archives, those are wonderful to watch if you want to trip back through history. But what upcoming programs do you have? What programs do you offer to members?
We generally meet once a month on the first Sunday of the month, except for the months of July, August, and December. We generally offer two types of programs. We have speakers and sessions at the York County History Center, and we try to cover all different types of topics that might be of interest to genealogists and people interested in local history. So not only do we cover genealogy topics, but also if there's something related to York County history, South Central Pennsylvania genealogical, or South Central Pennsylvania history, we have people come and talk about that. So we've had speakers not only talk about genealogy subjects, but also things like the Underground Railroad in York County, the Civil War in York County, different religious groups. We had a speaker on the Amish. We had a speaker on languages, sessions for us, one on Indian, I think it was Native American languages, another one on Pennsylvania Dutch.
Ooh.
So we've had a lot of good programs. And I just want to mention regarding the state archives, in April, we had Aaron McWilliams from the state archives come and tell us about their latest, how they operate under since the new building has been opened, how genealogists can use it. So if you want a very good introduction to what you need to know before you go to the state archives, go back and look at that video, because he did an excellent job. In fact, even though I've worked at the state archives for 35 years, I learned some things because things have changed since the new building opened.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then not only do we have programs at the York County History Center, but also we periodically take field trips to other sites. And just in May, we went to Conewaga Chapel near McSherrystown, Pennsylvania, which is the oldest stone. I think they say it's the oldest basilica in the United States constructed of stone, something like that. It's a beautiful church inside, lots of great artwork. And the priest was very knowledgeable about the history and the artwork. We had a great time there. We visited many sites across York County. We are hoping in this coming year to plan a trip to the new Pennsylvania State Archives and get sort of a behind the scenes tour. The York County History Center is opening their new building this summer. We're planning to offer a program where we get a tour of that. Some of you may know that Adams County Historical Society recently opened a new facility. I think that was last year. I've been trying to push to get us to tour their new facility as well. Probably one of the most unique places we visited. In the 1920s, Pennsylvania or York County was notorious for what's known as the Hex murder trial. A Powwower was killed in southern York County, and because some people believed he had put a hex on them, he was killed in his house. They tried to set fire to his house. His house still stands, and so one of our off-site trips was to go visit that house, and local attorney who's very knowledgeable about the case talked to us about how that case developed, and that was a very interesting experience. And another trip we made, if you see the background behind me, this is the terrain for Camp Security, which was a Revolutionary War prison camp here in York County, and we did have one of our meetings out at near the site of Camp Security.
Wow, that's nice. I love field trips. I think when you see the Pennsylvania landscape, our buildings, and you meet some of our people, a lot of things start to click in place in your head in terms of genealogy research. And you reference these local experts who are just like walking encyclopedias for the area and the topic that they specialize in. And you're not going to be able to Google that, unfortunately. You got to just reach out and email and talk to people to get that information, which is part of the reason why I do the podcast, to try to introduce people to some of the wonderful folks in Pennsylvania. Not to take us too far off topic, but for people that aren't familiar with Pennsylvania culture and history, can you just do an explanation of what powwow is?
Powwowing, how should I describe it? Powwowing, I think, comes out of a Pennsylvania German tradition of combining some Christianity with folk beliefs. Primarily, it was used as a means of healing people from different sicknesses. If you didn't want to call a doctor, you called the powwower, and the powwower might tie a certain type of string on you, or I think one of the things they did was put copper bracelets on people. I don't know all the details like that, but and then they would read sometimes scripture verses or prayers or special incantations, and it was supposed to heal people.
Yeah.
And from what I've read and what I've seen, it's kind of a combination of Christianity and sort of folk beliefs.
Right.
Some people would say there was some feeling among certain religious groups that this was satanic rather than Christian, and it's not really truly Christian, but
Right.
I don't think its origins were in something that was evil. So, and my understanding is there's still powwowers around today, although I have not personally had any contact with them.
Yeah, there are still powwowers around today. It's very much underground, from what I understand. It's not like you can again use Google or Google Maps to locate your closest powwow practitioner.
Right.
Yeah, it is very much an underground movement. And yeah, the term magic is one that a lot of people don't use, but it's somewhat of a magical practice. I mean,
Yes,
they're doing a rituals on people.
yes.
So let's get back. So that's just one example of how interesting Pennsylvania is compared to its neighbors. For those unfamiliar with Pennsylvania research or want a deeper appreciation. So let's get back to South Central Pennsylvania Genealogical Society. I do want to talk about if someone lives out of state and can't travel to come back for these field trips, what benefits do they get for joining as a member? What resources do you provide for people that are at a distance?
Well, we have several things. Probably what I'm most proud of are special publications where we identify particularly York County sources, although we've used some other things from other counties that are not well known, that have never been, in some cases, never microfilmed, scanned, or published anyway. We'll transcribe those and publish those. We currently are in the process of publishing a series of volumes transcribing the 1862 draft enrollment lists from York County. That'll finish this fall, and then in the spring, we're going to be publishing a transcription of a York Borough floor tax book, which lists individuals who paid taxes to support people who were indigent. And then also it has information about people who were indigent, what they were receiving money for, and in some cases, if they died, when they died, where they died, where they were buried, the details about their funeral. It's a great little resource if you have ancestors who lived in the borough of York. So that special publications be one benefit. We do have a bi-monthly newsletter, which we send out, and our current editor and our board is trying to put more good genealogy hints in there, more local resources, different things like that. We put in reports of our meetings. So if you want to get a kind of outline of what we talked about in a meeting, you can look at the newsletter. So newsletter, another thing we offer. In addition, for members who are not local, if they want to have some research done, I forget what the current policy is, but I believe we'll do up to an hour of free research at the York County History Center for members. If you go to our website, it'll explain what that research possibility is. And since we've returned from COVID, the York County History Center has been recording all of the programs we have at the History Center and putting them on I think it's their YouTube site. So you can go back and look at those programs if you want to. So those are things we offer people off-site. Plus, if people are members, we just recently, within the last year, set up a members only sort of, I forget what you call it, but I call it a message board. You can submit questions to this site, and members can respond, offer advice, or point you to other things, or we throw ideas around. So that's another opportunity for off-site members. But I'm a member of many genealogical and historical societies, and usually what my policy is, I join an organization that covers an area that I'm interested in, because many times these local places will make you aware of or dig up things that you won't find out about any other way. And that's what I think the value is of local historical and genealogical societies. And the value of being a member is many times, you can go to a website and you might not find what you're looking for, but if you're a member and you're getting their newsletter, you're getting an email communication, you might be alerted to something you would never have known about otherwise.
100%. Yeah, it feels like there should be a finite amount of resources that one can access, and that about all of them. But what we've discovered, the more we research, the more we find, especially locally, that poor tax, the indigenous list that's incredible to get the list of names when people died and that were living in the city of York or borough of York at the time. Yeah, that's fantastic. And that's something that's not been microfilmed by Family Search. It's not going to get digitized. If you're sitting at home thinking, I'll just wait till it shows up on Ancestry, you're not going to ever see it there. It's just too much of a niche, tiny little interest product for something for Ancestry to show, or, Find My Past or any of the big websites. You really just got to go to the people that are the experts, and you guys are it. So I'm encouraging anyone that has ancestors in South Central PA. So that would be the counties of York, but also, do you cover Dauphin?
We primarily cover the counties of York and Adams. That's our
York and Adams.
main
Okay,
focus.
perfect.
We also have published and offer some programs related to surrounding counties, particularly Cumberland, Franklin, some Lancaster, some of the counties in northern Maryland, although they have excellent historical societies. Well, most of these counties do.
Yeah.
But we just kind of see ourselves as a place where people have questions and they want to come and learn more. Usually every January, in lieu of a speaker, we have what we finally call our show and tell session for our program, where people come and share what they've been researching, or if people have questions, they can come and ask them. And I think this past January, we had a lady who brought in a collection of papers and was just asking, you have some deeds. Can you tell me about them, or can you read them for me? And so we went through them. Uh, one year, a lady brought in a very nice, well, it's more than a scrapbook. It was a very nice book she did on her family, but it was more pictures and then some text about each generation and about the family. It was well done. I mean, it gave people ideas of what they could do with the material that they're collecting. So I really like that January meeting. It's a neat time to see what other people are doing, or just seeing. I mean, people sometimes bring in family heirlooms, or they bring in family photographs, and they tell about them. You learn a lot of things that way. So.
I love that. Show and tell was always my favorite part of school. When when I was a teacher, I loved show and tell. It was great. One of my favorite memories being a 9-year-old boy who brought in a regular camera that you and I grew up with, film camera, and was astounded that when you took the pictures, they didn't immediately show up. And then, that you couldn't look at them. And then if you opened the back of the camera, all the pictures would disappear.
Yeah.
He thought that was amazing. So I love when people talk about what they find about their ancestors, because it's the same wonder, about, how they came across this and the discoveries that they made. And it is astounding, especially sometimes we're just touched that the things made it down to us, or were revealed to us. So, yeah. Well, Jonathan, I do have ancestors in York County that I just discovered, the Locke family. So I will be joining South Central Pennsylvania Genealogy Society, and using the resources at York History as soon as they're open, to see what else I can find about these folks, because it sounds like they were some Germans who arrived on the earlier side, and settled in, an interesting bunch. So I always love researching that group. But I wanted to thank you for being on the podcast and giving us an introduction to the organization. And can you just let people know what's the best way to contact the organization, the website address, and I'll make sure to put all this in the show notes for people.
Certainly. The best way to get in touch with us is through our website, which is simply the initials of our name, SCPGS.org, scpgs.org. If you forget all that, just Google South Central Pennsylvania Genealogy, and it'll probably be one of the first things that comes up. There is a or I don't know, whatever you call it, a link button on our website. You can send an email to us, and the website tells you about our programs, our publications, and all those things. And we certainly invite anybody to attend our programs. Our programs are free and open to the public. And we would be delighted to have you join us as well, because it's the members. We have an all-volunteer board, all-volunteer staff. So it's the members' dues and contributions that actually keep us going, as far financially. So we don't have a big budget, but I think we do a lot of good with the little bit of money that we do have.
Yeah, I think you do too. All right. Well, thank you for being on the podcast, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you for having me.